Hello, Trevor.
Hello, good evening.
Good
Hi,
evening.
Trevor.
How are you guys?
We're good.
Let me turn
We're
my
gonna
phone up
just-
so I can hear.
The chat's probably going to need a moment to be like, oh, shit. Hey.
Some people guessed it.
Yeah, I saw. I've been here for a few minutes, and I was watching the chat. They're like, Trevor. Somebody asked if it was Chris. I was like, nope, not just me.
Yeah. Is it CP? Well, CP's supposed to have went on with us on our YT channel.
Gotcha.
And that was still never not told that he wouldn't. I just think things kind of got a little crazy, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
But he did
I can't-
agree. And
Yeah, I can't blame him at this point.
Trevor, totally off topic. Did you watch my t-shirt videos?
Yeah, that was hilarious.
All right, so it is what it is. So this is what I'm gonna say, and then Tammy can talk, and then we'll let you talk. But here's my thing. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't know you. I've never met you. I've only seen maybe a couple bits and pieces, and I'm the type of person that I want to have like a direct conversation with somebody rather than listen to what's all over the internet, because we all know that the internet can be full of lies and shit. So I know that I recently just found out that you had a law passed. Is that correct? We're not going to go into details because I want that to be part of your story, but you got a law passed?
Yeah.
Okay. And you were basically one of the forefront people that kind of like started, I guess, the search for Sebastian as far as like the public's eye.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I don't mean that with anyone that's watching of like, oh my gosh, like he's the police. I'm not saying, I'm just saying like a civilian that stepped up and really like took initiative to did you like getting the flyers out there, all that other stuff. So
Yeah, do all the things.
And I guess the only thing that I know is that you were to blame for leaking a conversation. And literally those are the only 3 things I know about you. I did watch your TikTok. And I noticed that like there was some stuff in there that might be a little sensitive for you to talk about. You don't have to talk about it, but I will say that without knowing the details of your story, I feel like we have similar situations from our childhood, quotation. So I just wanted to give you kind of like a little bit of that. And then I guess I'll let Tammy talk. And then if you have any questions for me and Tammy before we get started.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I just
Awesome.
remember that you were like right there with Seth in the beginning, and like kind of like a shoulder to cry on, so to say. And I thought that y'all were like really, really tight, and I was flabbergasted by the behavior that happened the day on whose channel was it?
Smiley's.
Yeah, Smiley's. I was just like, I was really taken back. Like,
Oh, you and me both.
yeah, it was.
I could hear in your voice how upset you were. Like it wasn't even an anger upset. It was like devastation almost.
It was so uncalled for. But you know, that's not the first time he's shown some of his true colors, I should say.
Yeah.
But for him to like really come after you like that, then it just really like was shocking. It was shocking. So I really hate that happened to you. Honestly, I know that had to have hurt because, like you said, you were midnight. Him calling you, you know, having, you know, confiding in you and you being there for him. It really just kind of took me back to like what is wrong with him? Like, what is going on with this team now that that everything has changed and all the people surrounding him has changed? And I think we know the answer to that. But it's really sad that all the original people are gone now.
Yeah, absolutely. And all the things that he's stated were, and I'll get into when I explain the whole thing, I can get into that. But all the things basically he was saying were all untrue, which just made it even worse, I feel like.
Yeah. I agree.
Oh, sorry. And the other thing I wanted to say, like you were on the Madeline Soto case as well, correct?
No, Summer Wells was the first case that I had.
Summer Wells. That's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I live very
Too
close
many
to some
missing kids in
Wells
this
case.
world.
Yeah, way too many.
Yeah. I'm just gonna get my little thingy set up here, but if you want to just preface to people before we get kind of started of maybe asking Tammy or anybody any questions that you'd like, you can.
Yeah, well, I'm sure a lot of people want to know about that. I'll go ahead and address that situation we were just talking about with Seth, because I'm sure a lot of people want to know about that. That was quite the moment. So yeah, Seth is not that. Let's see, Sebastian's family is not the first family that I've spoken to in cases like this. Like we've got a couple local missing young adults here, and I'll be the same way with them. I talk to them all the time, just support them as I can, because these families, I mean, stuff they're going through is unlike anything that a parent can even imagine. So one of those things is just like simply being there as somebody to help with flyers, help with getting the word out, being somebody that they can just reach out to. And that's what Seth was. He would contact me and just complain. I mean, he had a lot of complaints, I mean, I get it, his kids missing. He was frustrated that there were no answers, and he has theories and his thoughts, and they don't align with what law enforcement said, and that frustrates him. And that's all that it was for me. Is I was just somebody that was trying to help. And fast forward to more recently, they bring on the man himself on your t-shirts, and they decide they're going to get rid of their last PI, who, by the way, everybody knows was working for free. Chloe's worked a lot of cases, usually low profile, because she doesn't care for the attention. She actually hates being interviewed, being on camera, things like that, because it's not what it's about for her. And she's worked a lot of low profile cases. Well, she started in this case when it was more low profile, and then it blew up, and she wasn't going to leave it. Obviously, what are you going to give up on the kid because it got high profile? No, but that's not usually her thing. And so what it came down to was she wanted to vet people coming on. Crazy, right? You're a licensed PI, you want to vet who you're going to allow on private property.
Not crazy at all.
Right. Well, that's the thing, is that's all that it was. And that upset Seth for whatever reason. I think it again is because the t-shirt man wanted to have some people brought in that just aren't, that you shouldn't do. Certain people are not meant around missing child's cases. It's just a thing. Everybody deserves a second chance for things they do, but some things are just not. Some people, it's just not appropriate to place them on somebody's private property and say, let's look for a missing child. And she wanted to vet them, and he didn't like that, and he let her go. Well, what I told her is I wasn't going to let her go down, for things she didn't do. If they were going to tell the truth on why they let her go, they can. The problem is they weren't going to, because everybody's going to be like, well, why? So instead, they started they think of all these different reasons. And Tony had reached out to me the morning that she was or I guess the morning it was announced she was let go. It was like the night before. He reached out to me that morning, and he got on the phone and was like, telling me that, he wasn't any part of her being let go. And I was like, well, it doesn't matter. She was like, oh, I think that's a poor decision. He goes, well, she'll be defended because she's a good PI. And I was like, well, okay. He gave me his word that no matter what, when they went on live streams, whatever, she'd be defended. I was like, good, because she deserves that. Whether you guys let her go or not, she deserves to be defended. She's a good person. She's done a lot of good things for Sebastian. Well, they go on a live stream that night over on a different platform, and she's absolutely disparaged. I mean, they just let her be thrown under the bus for things she didn't do and all. And I was floored. I was like, what are you doing? Like, you just told me this morning. And that's when there was the big fallout with the three of us, me, him, and Seth. And then fast forward to the live stream that Tammy was referencing, where Seth comes on and just starts yelling about me and saying that, trying to think about things he referenced. So he said that we've used his name to search on people's properties. That has not happened. Any searches that have been orchestrated by the PI have been through consent of property owners based on the case and her credentials, and they've given permission or not. If you don't want to give permission, you don't have to, but people have. Let's see. He said to the call that I did not leak that call. He had pushed it out to a couple creators because the person in the call, I think he wanted to make them look bad, and the call did not make that person look great, obviously. And I think that's what his goal was. And so he pushed it out for creators to play it, but he didn't want that to be known.
Was that pushed out because you got to remember that was pushed out, and it seemed like it was a diversion because of what happened the day before. Remember, Seth was telling everybody to F off, and
Yep.
you know, put him in a terrible, terrible light. And then it was like the next day, the phone call was leaked. It was
I feel like a lot of things have been like back and forth. You'll do something, now I'll do something. Now you'll do something, now I'll do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was pushed out, and it's fine, you know, whatever. I mean, it was, you know, if he pushed it out, that's his choice to do. But I mean, my thing is, if you do that, stand on it. You know, don't throw somebody else in the bus for something you did. Chloe's a friend of mine. Why would that be? Okay, let me like put you guys an example. If Tim, if you got a recorded call of somebody that's absolutely disparaging Barbecue Lady, you wouldn't want the whole world to hear it.
Exactly.
You wouldn't say, everybody play this. That'd be terrible. If that's your friend. Like, I would not. Why would I want Chloe with the whole world to hear her be talked about that way? For whatever reason, I'm not even getting into what Chris said, but it's just the point of the fact she was poorly talked about. Why would I want the world to hear it? So I was like, when you guys, they told me that I was going to be the fall guy for it, though. What's his name? Tony told me that. He said, you know, he basically told me that if I was sent a message from somebody that was doing but somebody who wanted a message on their behalf told me that basically if I was to keep talking about them publicly, that they would, you know, frame me for that. And they tried, and it really didn't work.
What?
At the blackmail?
Yeah, they attempted to blackmail me for that.
Wow.
And that's what I was referring to when I said that I was being blackmailed that night, because I was just so frustrated, because I'd actually held back that week because of that, because I was trying to gauge, you know, how much should I save versus pushing it to that point, because I especially didn't want Chloe to be thrown in the bus for anything. I was okay if, I mean, you want to, the way I said it, I was like, you lie about me, I'll tell the truth, like, you know, about what you did. But I didn't want Chloe to be involved in it, because she didn't do anything, and I didn't want my conversations about the case to pull her under the bus. You know what I mean? That's not fair to her. She didn't do anything. She had been quiet about it. So I did pull back because they included her. They said they would say that we both did it. And at that point, I did get quiet. And for a day or two, I didn't say anything about them. And then Seth comes on and says, you know, that I'm a slime ball. What was it? He said slime ball, I think it was.
Scumbag.
And he goes, oh, I thought I was behind the stage. Anybody that's gone on StreamYard on that platform, you know, it tells you specifically when you're on the screen.
You're absolutely like, you're in it, you're in it.
Yeah.
And he laughed about it, though. That's the other thing, is he laughed about it. He's laughed at other things that we all know in the chat, too.
Yeah, you know, and in that leak call you were talking about, you were saying a while ago that, you know, Chloe does not like the drama. She doesn't like the spotlight and stuff, you know. And even in that leak call, Heather even said that to CP, said, you know, I'm more of a person that's going to go in front of people and speak than even Chloe. I mean, she was even trying to take up with Chloe and saying exactly what you just said to everybody, and to be, you know, all in the spotlight and stuff.
100%. And she never has, because most of the cases she's worked successfully, it's cases people don't even hear of, because it's like runaway teenagers. It's the cases that people don't want to touch. You know, it's the cases that go viral that a lot of people want to get behind. But she's the one that's like, I'm going to work cases that, you know, nobody's talking about, because to her, it's just about bringing the people home. You know, that's all she cares about. I mean, she has a full-time job. She, you know, she does her PI work part-time for free. That was my thing. I was like, you got somebody working pro bono for you. Like, whatever happened with them and Heather is one thing. I don't have any issue with Heather either, but it's a business, because she's on retainer. You're paying her. At some point, you do have to weigh, are you getting the services you want from this person you're paying? I mean, that's just the way any business works. But for somebody working for free, I'm like, how do you just throw that away?
I agree. Like, what was the reason? What was the reason even given to her of why they were letting her go?
Why they let Chloe go?
Yeah.
Was because she wanted to vet searchers.
So you're going to get rid of free help because they want to protect things. Like, they want to protect. Like, that makes no sense to me at all.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure if people have been following, they've seen, and I won't name any names, obviously, but somebody was being talked about, being brought up from another state who has a criminal background. And there were some issues with that, both financially and morally, with her being brought up. And that was a big divide. That's what I think completely.
And I'll say also the videos maybe like a month or so ago about the divers pulling out, and they had someone in one of the dive teams that was volunteering that was a registered SO.
Yep, exactly. And Tony, he's got, apparently he's got whatever passed, and it doesn't bother me, but Heather offered to give him do a background check for him. She said she would background check him, and if it was clean, she wouldn't care to tell the public that. And he said no. He said the records people are finding are some black guy with his same name. His words, not mine.
Right. Yeah.
That was his excuse for his criminal record.
I've
Hold
heard
on,
that.
I have to plug my phone in. Don't mind what it says.
Bitch, please.
It's a whole thing that we all on here did one night. We all fix our phones where we plug it into, it does that.
So I know there's questions, and I want to hear. I do want to I feel like this is like a 3-part. So I guess since you kind of like dove right into this first, there is someone that wants to come on the box that is a retired law enforcement. She just wanted to ask a question. So if you don't mind, I will tell you that they are respectful on this app. So
Sure.
I'm going to bring them up real fast. Hi, Crystal.
Hey, can y'all hear me? So, Trevor, let me get this right. You've been with Seth from the actual beginning. Am I correct?
So I've been covering the case since the beginning and helping in that way. I didn't meet Seth until later on. I met his sister first, actually, because Seth isn't on social media. So I had spoken to his sister, and then when I got to town to search, I physically met him.
So most of the videos that were posted publicly when he was speaking, have you been caught up on those?
No, some of them. Some social. It got so crazy online that I definitely didn't see everything.
Okay, so this is what I'm getting to, because I'm so stuck in the past on these videos, I can't even move forward. To the fact that I don't trust nothing he says. I'm still stuck on the fact that I know where my son is at, but I don't have the funds or the means to get to him. That is where I'm stuck. I know everybody else is in this tornado of drama here in the future, but I am still stuck.
You've been
that
saying that for a while now too, and nobody's answered it.
I can't get nobody to pay attention. Like, he literally admits it on a video live.
I did hear that, actually. I do know what you're referring to, and I've been asking the same thing. He said, I know where he is. I need the resources to find him, or I don't have the resources to find him. Sorry. And the whole time I've wondered what he meant too, and nobody will say, because the thing is
distractions have been here.
Oh yeah, every
Exactly.
time
All
there's
this
something
stuff
that's
happening on a daily basis, it's like I can't take it in or pay any attention to it because I'm still stuck on that one sentence.
Yeah.
Tammy, are you able to pull that up so we could listen to it? Crystal, do you have it? Crystal?
No, I don't have it. I tried to look for it and I don't have it.
It was on the interview in a parking lot. Anybody have it that they could send it to Tammy? He did say, I just want to hear word for word what he said.
He also said in another one, if you could say what Sebastian's doing right now, what is he doing? And he says, I think he's playing video games.
He said, meh, I think he's playing video games somewhere.
I don't know. Is it just nervousness and didn't know what to answer? Is it that kind of thing? Or did he literally mean, I know where he's at, I just don't have the resources?
Yeah, but if you know where he's at, why would you say you know where he's at if you don't know where he's at? What did you mean?
The fact that you say, I know where he's at, I don't have the funds or means to go get him. Why didn't you call the law enforcement if you know where he's at? You want the FBI now. Why you didn't call the FBI to go get him?
I was going to say, you want resources. The FBI is on this case. Seems like
you had a PI that was working for free.
Yeah. But you're not getting better resources than what the FBI will pull. If they have a lead to follow, they will pull in whatever they need to follow up on it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The FBI don't need funds to go get him. They're going to go get him.
And I'll say, Tammy, I actually talked to the FBI. I forgot about that till just now, but Tammy and I were on a call, and we were calling in a lead, actually. from when we were down in Hendersonville, and he seemed like they were taking every and any lead
Very
like
serious.
serious and following through and everything like that. And he said, we're not the lead, but we're definitely assisting. And they're assisting also, but they're on TikTok. Like they're literally on TikTok.
They're everywhere. Yeah, I talked to a deputy at Sumner County, and he and I were talking about. He was talking about the groups over on social media, one of the social media platforms, the groups for Sebastian. He talked about how there's just so many, and they're watching. They're monitoring everywhere. I think people think that they're just kind of like sitting on their hands because you can't see what they're doing, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes. I've done, and when we get to the law conversation, I'll talk about TBI more. But I've worked closely with them on some things on a professional level, and I know the work they put into cases like this. So even if you don't see it, from the day that they're called in, they're investigating. Like I think people think that when they pulled back and said this is an investigation, then they suddenly started looking into like things that are foul play, whatever people that were thinking. But from day one, TBI is looking into everything. You just don't see it. When they're out there looking for Sebastian, they're also digging into everyone. Make no mistake, the day that they released the endangered child alert, they were not only looking for him, they were digging into everybody near him. Mom, dad, stepdad, everyone. They didn't wait 8 days to decide that they're going to look into people. They were digging into people's past, criminal history, CPS history, anything that they're involved in remotely, work. Yeah, everything. They're looking into every single thing from day one, minute one. But as soon as you don't see it, it doesn't count.
I'm not gonna say no names. I'm not gonna do that. But there's other creators out there that are still stuck on Chris and the wife is behind all this. But that one sentence that he admits to saying, or he says, I can't get past that the other two had anything to do with this because I'm stuck on him. It's a given fact that you've done I'm sorry, at this point you cannot take back and you cannot justify what you said. Period.
Did you find it, Tam?
I'd have to go through and search.
Mackenzie, do you have a link to it, to that specific interview? Because I can text it to Tammy.
Or what date it was?
So does anybody know what interview Crystal's talking about? It's an interview where it's Seth, he's wearing a black shirt. He's like in a parking lot. I think it was within like the first like 2 weeks or so. And he's in the parking lot and he says, I know where he is. I just don't have the resources to get to him. All right, we got it. Hold on.
But it was nice to meet you, Trevor. I'm going to go ahead and step down. I'm still stuck there. And if I move further, I will let y'all know.
Tam, send me a text message from your other number. So I know I just sent it to the phone she's on like a dumbass. Hold on 1 second. We got the interview. Maybe she'll send it to herself. Whoever just sent that to me, thank you. I think that is a great question. Sorry, my thingy's moving. I'm not tech savvy. I'm just here. She's probably sending it to her other phone so she can play it. Did you get it? You're muted.
You're muted.
Tam, you're muted.
No, send it to my other phone. I can't get to it right there.
Can you text me from that phone? Because I don't actually have the number saved. I just have it. Give me a second. Did you text my phone? Son of a bitch. Listen, we're just a bunch of old ladies over here. Just bear with us.
I didn't have you saved either, but I found you. You can send it now.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just I saved you as Tammy too. I was gonna put Glam Tam, but so I believe this is the interview. It was sent to me. Actually, I made a great secret friend in Hendersonville, and she has been a plethora of information, factual information, and I think that she has a notebook like the size of Tammy's, but with a whole shit ton of stuff. Like she should probably be on the panel, but she don't want to. She watches all the time.
Who?
5 mile radius.
This one girl.
Oh.
With everything there. But there's stuff elsewhere. I mean, we got a lot of territory to cover. And it being over a month, he could be anywhere currently. So I'm searching everywhere.
You, Katie, and Chris had a meeting with TBI today. Did you find out any new information?
Not that I can discuss.
Any progression that might show hope in this search?
Oh, I always have hope. Can't take that away from me.
And how confident are you that Sebastian is alive, and what do you think he's doing right now?
Pretty sure he's probably playing video games somewhere. Nobody's letting him, whoever's got him, they're not letting him see the regular news. They're not letting him surf the internet. Or else he'd know that I'm looking for him. And he'd know that he should actually be trying to get a hold of me.
A kid that's not allowed on the internet.
Yeah.
Is there some reason to believe he may have been abducted?
I don't know if he's been abducted or if he's just, over at a friend's house. Never know. But I'll know when I find him. I'll know exactly what has happened to him.
And other news outlets were reporting that there were lights seen in the backyard that were caught on camera by a neighbor's video. Is that true?
No. What that was a trash truck. Went through, picked up trash, and when it left, of course it went faster. It didn't have to stop to pick up trash. That's just false information provided by a particular person.
Never came out from law enforcement, guys. Just remember that.
My information that I've been given, no.
Did they find anything on Sebastian's cell phone that would, kind of show that he was going to run away or where he might be?
Not that I know of. He didn't have any internet access or anything on there. He would have been able to call, text, take a picture, send a picture, use the calculator. That's about it.
Was Sebastian in school on Friday, the day before he went missing?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you, Chris, or Katie, or any of you suspects in this case?
No, we're not.
Have you been cleared?
I don't know. The investigation is still ongoing. We wouldn't be cleared until the investigation is done. But currently, from my understanding, they don't have any information that would attach us to any wrongdoing.
CPS has gone to Katie's house before. You didn't know about that until this investigation. How does that make you feel?
That somebody somewhere dropped the ball because I was never informed. And I'm the biological father. I have joint legal, joint physical custody. Somebody dropped the ball and didn't reach out and inform the father, which is me. And I don't understand why the state dropped the ball on that one.
And how did you find out about CPS?
Podcast.
And how does that concern you, especially with this case, that they might have done something to cause him to run away?
I don't know what that really means, but I just know that I don't have all the information.
Is there an official timeline? And I know people, there was, we went to bed at this hour, but does TBI or anyone have an official timeline as to the series?
I'm pretty sure they do, but I'm not involved in the investigation, so I wouldn't have it.
Have the three of you been in contact every day like you were several weeks ago about this?
I was in contact with both Katie and Chris today, but I've heard he said his phone is open and available, so is mine. You can leave a voicemail. Like 7 or 8 people have already left me voicemails today. I'm going. You know, I get people calling me while I'm on the phone, and it's like, I can't just sit there and answer the phone for everybody. If I did that, I probably wouldn't be able to get out of my house.
There's been a lot of criticism over this investigation. I'm sure you've received criticism as well as the pamphlets. How does that make you feel in a time where you're just trying to find your son?
People are being, well, that goes back to those keyboard warriors I talked about on the first interview that you and I had. They're still at it. They'll never stop. There's cowards in this world, and then there's people who are go-getters. My feet, they're on the ground. They're never going to leave the ground. I'm going to find my son. Period.
And plans, today on moving forward, any more resources being used on this investigation or anything you have to say about that?
The United Cajun Navy is currently sitting down there right now at 90 Volunteer Drive in Hendersonville. 10:30. That's when volunteers need to show up. 10:30. Show up, have your ID, sign the paperwork, and they send people out in teams. When you show up, there ain't nobody there except for a couple people. That's because they've already sent teams out. They're just going to keep sending teams out until we can find my son.
Have there been a lot of volunteers coming out to help find Sebastian?
Today there was, and I want to thank everybody who did come out. We're seeing an increase, and we're going to continue to see an increase. I'd like the whole state of Tennessee to volunteer, and then we'll hit other states.
And you're Sebastian's father. Tell me, what is Sebastian like?
He's a unique child. All right. It's really hard to describe my son. I mean, besides being unique, whether he's up to no good or he's up to good, he's just got that uniqueness about him. It's really hard to describe. I mean, he's my mini-me. If he has a goal, he's going to accomplish that goal. People at school, they liked him. All the kids are wanting to know when he's going to come back. They want to help and volunteer. Teachers are they're putting out prayers every day. Everybody, it's coming up. It's Easter. I'm hoping for an Easter miracle. I can definitely use it in my life right now.
And why did they search the landfill?
I have no idea. They didn't. Not part of the investigation. They're not going to tell me stuff. I am emotionally attached, as any parent should be.
And how often do you meet with TBI?
If I call them all the time. Call, text, hey, any new news? They either let me know or they let me know.
Are you happy with the work that all these agencies have done, or do you think there needs to be more?
There could probably be more. We just got to figure out what more is necessary. Am I happy with them? I'm not unhappy. You can see that after my son's back, and it's going to be, I'm happy. All right, because in the long run, it's always goal oriented. Go to work, put a smile on your face, get the job done. I know that they're putting their effort, 150% effort into this, and I appreciate that. And I'm hoping it will pay off with fruition.
Stop it.
Me and Chris are suspects.
I don't think he says it there. I think he says what I said there.
Sebastian, I think for more than a month now. What keeps you getting up every morning, going out and searching for him?
Being a dad, having perseverance, wanting him to come home, while wanting to watch him finish growing up.
You wear this every day? Talk to me about this shirt.
This right here.
Yeah, he didn't say it in that interview.
Are you sure?
Just listen to it.
Oh, that's the end of it?
Yeah, they talked about the shirt.
All right, we need another interview. Son of a bitch.
Trev, you said you were going to talk about like the investigation and law enforcement. You want to go ahead and enlighten us on all that?
Well, I was just trying to get into the fact that, I mean, like, so back to what I was saying about when I've worked with TBI in terms of trying to pass legislation for the past about 4 years. And so we've spoken on all different kind of topics and the work that they do in different things, including, missing persons cases. And like I said, a lot of it goes on behind the scenes, and that's what people don't see. They're not a very public facing agency. It's sometimes to people's aggravation. They don't hold press conferences a lot on things unless they really have something to say. They don't post about things unless they have information. But they're always working behind the scenes. Like I said, when Sebastian went missing and they called them in and the endangered child alert went out, they were immediately looking into everything. I mean, they have their theory on what happened, obviously, their working theory, but they've looked into every avenue. And I talked to them on the 28th of February. So, 2 days after he's reported missing, when they put the Amber Alert out, and they told me that they did not believe at that time it was an abduction. They put it out because the temperatures and the fact that he's been gone for X amount of time, and been about probably 48 hours at that point, and the fact that he was without his medication. And so, I mean, they had been looking at every angle from the jump, including people around him.
Do you want to give your theory of what happened, or would you rather not?
I honestly think I don't know. I've gone back and forth since the beginning, but I believe that that he left his home on his own volition that night. I don't think that anybody is involved directly in his disappearance, but I think some of the stuff that we've heard publicly may have indirectly led to it. I think there's a reason that he didn't call his dad. A lot of people say if he walked out, why didn't he call his dad? Well, I think more recently, the past couple weeks, we've learned why he may not have done that. See, people a lot of time after Seth yelled at me, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, he should apologize to you." I said, what's more bothersome to me than the way he talked to me is the fact that he probably talked to Sebastian that way. And that's what worries me, is the way that he talked to me and the way that he was speaking to me. I'm closer to Sebastian's age than I am to Seth's age. Yeah, I'm obviously grown, but I'm 7 years older than Sebastian. I mean,
Yeah.
who's to say he
Yeah.
wouldn't talk to him like that? And that's what worries me more. And I'm not saying that he's directly involved either. I don't think any of the adults are. But my point is when you have those dynamics, it could lead to a child having a moment and saying, just leaving, getting upset and not having anyone to call on. What if he got upset at his mom because of whatever? It could even be something trivial. He's a child. I mean, he's 15. He could get upset about something and go and feel that he can't call on his dad. Obviously, he can't talk to his mom there. Chris is hours away, and we don't know how close they were. I mean, I feel like he just left, and I think he's out there. He went on his own, and I don't think there's a huge conspiracy to this. I think it's something very simple.
Yeah, the way he called you boy, continuously, boy, it really flowed, came off his tongue very easily.
You just had to.
I thought the same thing, because I was like, you are younger than him, and the way that he spoke just was telling to me as well.
I already lost my thought with my dementia mind, but let me read up here with these couple messages. I think that's where it was right above here.
Do you think he's alive?
Unfortunately, I don't. Based on my non-educated working theory is that he did walk off, and so I believe in that situation he would not be, because I think he's just out there. But my hope, obviously, is that he's with someone and that he is alive. That'd be the best scenario of all. But I unfortunately believe that he walked out of that home. I think it was just too dark to be seen. I think the camera footage is pretty easily solved, the fact that there's no camera footage of him, because it's so dark up there, and it's really not like an urban area. Have you guys been up there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so dark.
Yeah, I think people see a $600,000 house, like a neighborhood full of $600,000 houses, and say they think of it as like a city, like you're in like a big area. But if you go just outside that neighborhood, I mean, it's middle of nowhere, farms, dense forestry. I mean, as soon as you leave that neighborhood, you're basically out. And so it's like, I think people get a wrong, if they only see like the house in the neighborhood, they just see like, well, it's a city. Why wouldn't he be on camera? Why wouldn't he, be spotted? But this, that, and the other. Well, it's a lot of land. As soon as you leave that neighborhood, you're in the middle of I mean, you can go off into woods, you can go off into farmland, caves are out there. There's a lot of area out there where a child could get lost. He's not very big. He's tall. He's a very skinny child. And we know that they've talked about him hiding. He likes to hide places. Who's to say he didn't get out there in the woods and just hide under something, try to stay warm? I mean, I hate thinking of that, but I think it's a very real possibility. And the fact that they've not been able to tie a single piece of evidence to abduction or any of the parents, I think that's where it leads to, just in my opinion.
Someone had mentioned one night in the chat about the boy that went missing, and they ended up finding him in a chimney. He'd gotten caught. He'd tried to go into a chimney or try to go down, and he got caught in the chimney. And that makes me kind of wonder if something like that didn't happen to Sebastian as well.
Right.
And then we have, Kaylee Anthony, where, she was found. I mean, they searched and searched and searched and searched, and she was found just like a block from the house.
Yeah, it's happened multiple times. There's multiple cases, like 400 days later, a girl was found on like the road she went missing on. Like, I mean, it happens, and it's not due to failure of search or anything like that. I mean, people have to think you're not looking for a child that is, upright, and not necessarily a child that is out in the open. Because if it gets really cold that night, he's barefoot, he's trying to find peace. You're naturally, as a human, going to try to find somewhere to find cover, to be warm, or at least to be blocked from the elements. So whether that be a cave, whether that be like under the roots of a tree, under a random tarp you find out in the woods, under a vehicle that's broken down on somebody's property, there's a lot of different possibilities where he wouldn't just be right out in the open, where somebody doing a grid search could go found him. So I think it's very much, people have to realize, he's not necessarily just going to be right out in the open if he is out there.
And I think that's why law enforcement, every time they've done, which they haven't given us many, but every time they have given a press conference, they keep saying, please continue to search your area. If you're local, please continue to search your land. And I think that's what they have in their mind as well, just them to continue.
Yeah. Well, the way it looked like from the beginning is that was obviously their theory from the jump, because they stated it. They said they believe he walked off, that's it. And then they pulled back and investigated, because I think they realized, well, we need to look at every avenue, and we need to, be public facing about that. So they did. And then, we have all this time later, and they're saying they have no evidence of those other things. Well, to me, that says we believed this. We couldn't find him, so we looked at all the other avenues. Those avenues didn't turn anything up. So I think they're back to what they were looking at from the beginning. Because if somebody harmed him, if somebody in the family harmed him, there would probably be evidence. You've had local law enforcement, you've had TBI, you've had FBI and Secret Service review evidence, review track down cars, people, everything. It's hard to outsmart every single one of those agencies and not leave a single trace of what you did.
That's what I said, especially with, and I've been all over the place from in the beginning. I was thinking that, after Sunday Fun Day, Katie met CP with him, and CP went and done something with him. I was in the 3-hour phone call, I was thinking that was, CP had laid his phone down and it was an open line, and, and I that was all in the beginning. But now, after everything, I'm like, how could she have? This had to be the perfect crime. If she done this at the home or whatever that night, something went wrong and she did something. It's too perfect. There's not any evidence of anything. And they said that this was the biggest search that Tennessee had ever had. I just think that if they had done something, that they would have already found some kind of evidence that they did something to him.
I want to say two things before I forget. One is, this is alleged, that Tony said that Seth has been riding around with evidence bagged and tagged in his vehicle for the last month. Have you heard that?
No, but I've heard Tony say quite a few things.
No, I know.
But yeah, Seth has been out. He's been around when stuff's been called in. The glasses, he was there for that. When the glasses were called in, he admittedly was there. And I knew he was, but he's openly said that too. They called, one of the searchers called him, and he was there when the glasses were found. And they finally got somebody to bag them and put them up. But
I forgot the other thing. I'll think of it.
You're going to start writing stuff.
Listen, I waited like 4 questions that you asked, so I was like, shit, I know I'm going to lose this, and I just didn't want to interrupt.
Oh, no, you just tell me to stop. I'm just kind of just going on and on about
No, because I don't, they're, I'm sure I'll see it again.
Yeah, so Tony has said that Seth has these. It's pants, but it's not the pants that Terry Lynn had found. It's a pair of pants or something, and that they're bagged and tagged, and they're in his truck, and he rides around with them, and acts like law enforcement doesn't want them, and he's not dropped them off to any law enforcement.
But here's the thing: last week when all this like drama ensued with Stephen Crabtree, he said the very next day the plan worked. Sumner County Sheriff's has called Seth twice today. If you had something in your vehicle and you had Sumner County on the phone, why can't you say, hey, listen, I got something bagged and tagged in my vehicle for the last month. I'm trying to reach you fuckers, whatever. He never said, like, come on, I don't get it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that those phone calls they got from Sumner County were exactly peachy keen either after some of the stuff that I could put out. If your plan was to piss off law enforcement, then it probably worked. If your plan was to have meaningful conversations with them, it's not the way to do it by putting out false information. I mean, the thing about the call with Katie's mom was, or texting, sorry, he said that Sebastian had been texting Katie's mom. Absolutely asinine to even entertain, because we know that their family is partially estranged because we've heard things from Katie's past. And we know that I don't even think she talks to her. So why in the world, how would Sebastian find contact with this woman and then just sit around and text her?
And here's my thing, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, if Seth gave Sebastian this burner phone, maybe he had it backed up to an iPad. Again, here we go. All devices taken, all information taken off of it. Like, if Seth even had a phone that was given and it was backed up to his iPad or whatever he had at home, they're taking all of that.
Yeah, everything. And they're looking through it. The feds are looking through it. It's not just like Sumner County didn't take in, just throw it on a desk. I mean, they brought in a main reason why federal law enforcement was brought in is to review things like that. I mean, they're brought in for any sort of process in this, but they were brought in specifically to look through, like, the camera footage, the phone. I mean, any kind of digital evidence, because Secret Service has tools that like no law enforcement has.
Look at all that stuff, deleted text messages. When you've tried to even attempt to delete stuff, they would even have record of that. It is like the black box of your phone that you don't even know exists.
Yeah, and they'll pull phone pings. They'll pull all the towers to see if there were any pings that don't add up, or some an odd ping, somebody there. I mean, they could pull all that. And and just clarify, people in chat, I'm not T-Rev. We are two different people.
I was going to clarify that as well. Yeah.
T-Rev 757, Trevor Lee.
Yeah, two different people.
Well, not T-Rev up here, but YouTube call-in T-Rev that we listen to is not this same person.
People are asking, do you know if forensics was done on the house?
I'm not sure about physical forensics. I know that they've done definite, deep searches of the house. They've run, Chris isn't lying when they've run, a dozen dogs through his house. I mean, they've had people in and out. They've went and pulled, looked through everything. But I'm not sure if they ran forensics, and that could partially be due to there being no no evidence.
I thought it was a runaway.
Because when you're doing things like luminol, you're looking for blood. You're looking for evidence that there was a crime committed to take somebody's life, and for that to be what you're working on, there has to be at least something for you to look. I mean, there has to be even an ounce of something to say that could have been done here, and there is no evidence of physical harm being done that night. There's just not. And I get that's a lot of people's working theory, and who knows, we still don't know what happened, but there's zero evidence of it months later. I mean, we're coming up, unfortunately, on 3 months, and there's nothing to point to any sort of break-in, even outside parents. They haven't said anything about a break-in, a struggle. Just anything.
Yeah, and honestly, that's why I said it would kind of be like the perfect crime, and I hate to even word it that way, but you would have heard, you would have smelled bleach, or the police would have had they would have had to have had a reason. Like you would have smelled some kind of cleaning agents if something would have went wrong in that house, and they would have had to clean it up, and then you know, I mean, they were there the next morning at what, 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Yeah, and I mean, people refer to their military experience, but I mean, you go to the military, they don't teach you how to take a child's life and clean it up. I mean, you know, you get certain life skills and tools and things like that. They're not teaching you how to cover up because
Right.
that's just not the thing. That's not what it is. It's not like you go to boot camp, then you go to you know, red rum camp. I mean, it's not a thing. So I think it's just, you know, at the beginning, I think it was a fair theory. I mean, at every time parents go under scrutiny, it's just unfortunately the way it is. But I think at this point, you just can't say that that's the plausible theory with no evidence. I see people talking about the landfill search. I wish I knew. The way I was told is it was due to that tip from the trash truck driver. So the way it's presented to me is the trash truck driver, after finding out, you know, about Sebastian's disappearance, said the bag was a little heavy. That could be due to 5 million different reasons. You know, if to break it to people, if Sebastian was in that bag, he would have been found when they did that search. So we know that that's not true. He wasn't in the landfill, so he wasn't in that trash bag. But they said the trash bag was heavy. Who knows if that was just paranoia by somebody who found out that they picked up trash from a house that a child went missing at, or they just threw out a bunch of stuff. Who knows? But I think the landfill search was started by that tip. I think there wasn't much of they didn't have much to go on with that search, but at the same time, they didn't want to leave that alone because it's a tip and every tip gets looked into. And at that point, they had nothing. So why not look into it?
We've heard this 100 times. Do you think that they searched his camper?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's like, I'm sorry. That's kind of like the dumbest question. That's like them saying, like, did you search the house?
Yeah.
It's their
Did
property.
you search that room upstairs? Did you search, you know, yeah, you know, they searched.
The dirt on the side of the house behind the door where the air conditioning vents are. I mean, it's like, I get it, but it's like law enforcement has been in their house searching, taking pictures for the first 8 days nonstop. Like that's already been talked about.
Yeah. And that landfill is where the trash from the neighborhood goes. So some people are talking about, you know, I think a lot of people are confused why they were in Kentucky. That's where the trash from their home, that's the landfill that it goes to. The whole neighborhood where it gets picked up, it goes to that dump in Kentucky. Why? I don't know. That's just the way they do it. That's how they do it, but that's why they went there.
I think the confusion lies with people were saying that particular landfill only takes commercial trash.
Mm-hmm. That's what I had heard.
The way it was presented to me is that's where their trash goes, but I don't know.
Are there any other questions? Because there's like 2 other things that I want him to talk about that kind of aren't directly related. And we can always circle back around at the end, but I do want you to kind of, I don't know if you want to tell your story, you don't have to, but I do want to lead up into like what you go through the route that you did of you know, working with legislator and getting the law passed. So that's kind of like whatever you feel comfortable sharing, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. So in October of 2020, so I graduated high school in 2020. In October of 2020, this girl that I'd gone to high school with, a year younger than me, she and her mom were a victim of domestic violence homicide. And it was the girl I went to school with, her stepfather. They had been briefly estranged due to finally getting, you know, an order of protection in and charges filed. And he had, you know, abused both of them for years, and had finally had charges lined up against him. Well, he had went to stay with a friend in another state, and long story short, once he had found out he was charged, he knew what he had done. They didn't tell him, obviously, but he knew he had a warrant, and he knew what he had done for years. He knew what was ahead of him. So he drove down to their house and took both their lives, and then took his own. And so that, I mean, just kind of, you know, shook our whole community, to say the least. We sat at her senior parking spot for 2 weeks straight. I mean, left to go home and sleep, and came back. It was, I mean, just insane. She
I have chills all over my body right now, legs, arms, everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's still crazy even just to think about. She was, and you say this about everybody, when they pass, we all look at their positive traits, and everybody has them, but she was truly one, like, the person that everybody could get along with. Even with everything she was going through that nobody knew about, she was the most positive everywhere. I mean, she was the loudest in the softball dugout. She would come to school and always be positive. Everyone, the kids that nobody talked to, kids that everybody talked to. She's the one that's there to lift you up, give you some positive quote, positive Bible verse, something. She's always that positive light. And when you found out what she was going through, it was just crazy. And what led me to legislation was sitting 10 feet behind her casket at her funeral and thinking, this can't happen again, and talking to her family. And we moved forward with trying to work on some legislation to help with domestic violence and child abuse.
So what was that like from that moment where you realized that this is what you want to do? Like, what were the steps that you kind of took? Kind of tell us about the process and what the outcome was.
Yeah, so I had no idea what I was doing. I had said I want to write a law, but how the heck do I do this? So I contacted our legislators here, and just started talking to them. I said, this is what we want to do, but I've got some ideas, but we're gonna have to tune it up, find out how it fits in with the law, how it fits in with this, get it on paper, how it fits financially. I mean, there's a lot to it once you really look at it. And talk about things moving slow. You think Christmas takes a long time, try legislation. I mean, the government, when you're moving through a bill, things just take a long time. There's a lot of hoops to jump through to make sure things are done the right way. So we worked, this is the 4th legislative year. So she passed we haven't hit 4 years since she's passed, but 4 legislative years, because we worked January of 21, 22, 23, and then 24. And we finally got a bill passed this year for all district attorney offices in Tennessee to require 1 assistant attorney to cover all crimes against children. And they're required to train with the TBI every year to stay up to date on their practices and to make sure they're doing the best they can to make sure none of these children, fall through the cracks.
So what's the law's name?
The Gabby Act. So it went in March. So under the district attorney's law in the code in Tennessee, under the district attorney's provisions, it'll have that training and it'll have her name on it forever. Actually, it'll have that was the goal, is to get her name on the law books, because that stuff's permanent. And so hopefully, even as her family said, if that saves 1 life, that's more than worth it to get passed.
That's awesome. So you are from Tennessee? You are from Tennessee?
Yeah. So I'm a few hours east of Hendersonville. If people know Sebastian's case. So I'm in like northeast Tennessee. Gabby passed in Bristol. So we're here in like northeast Tennessee. So I'm 1 county over from where Summer Wells went missing.
I drove through. Isn't that like I don't know what the road is, but there's like a horse track there.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
racetrack in
And
Bristol.
there's like a bunch of hills with white picket fences and I drove past that, and there's like a castle.
Yeah, we've got, that's the castle, the stone castle. That's the high school I went to.
Oh no shit! I didn't know what that was. I thought that was somebody's house. But when I went to
Football
Hendersonville,
field.
I drove right through all that, and I'm like, dude, there's money down there. Like, there's absolutely, like, those rolling hills and white picket fences was like, I just was amazed by that. Like, I kind of wanted to go back and see what it all was, but when I seen that castle, I was like, dang, okay.
Yeah, I live like 10 minutes from that castle.
When you passed it, because you're like, there's a castle here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I literally live like not even 10 minutes from the castle, because that's the high school I went to.
I'll have to tag you in my video that I made with like some of the content of like driving through, just on the way, because I never went and searched for somebody's child, you know what I mean? And I linked up with Tammy, and I know like we excuse me, we were on TikTok for like insane amounts, more than I'd like to admit, but a little bit of it was obsession, but really it was just like just putting our thinking caps together, and our chat like has just been all along the way. Like, we started making obviously getting people to make TikToks. Some people have made their very own first TikTok that didn't even know how to make one. Telling people how to like download the flyer and share the flyer. And we've had a lot of people from Hendersonville that are in the chat right now, and just really just kind of supporting one another, because even though Sebastian is missing and like right now we're not down there searching, but people are emotionally invested. That like I've got a lot of messages from people about how this has caused them just anguish and hurt and pain, and they've shared personal stories about their own children being lost, or hold on one second. Kimberly, is he as clueless as he acts? Who are you talking about?
So, Trevor, is it called Gabby Act?
Yeah, the Gabby Act. Yeah.
Yeah, I looked it up. So y'all can Google it and it comes right up.
Can you read it?
It says, what is the Gabby Act in Tennessee? Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, as introduced, enacts the Gabby Act, established a purple alert system for use when the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation receives a report of a missing or endangered domestic abuse victim.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then this year we got the
You're an
district
amazing
attorney
person,
on us.
Trevor. I feel like, there's a lot of good with some of the, I don't want to say youth, but you're probably half my age, and I probably have a kid your
You're
age,
like,
so-
yeah, you're like the age of I've got a 27, 25, 21-year-old. You're like,
22.
yeah, you're the age of my kids.
I have a 24-year-old, so you're definitely younger. That's amazing.
Thank you.
You should be very proud of yourself. That is amazing.
Thank you. It's one of those things where the things you go through, it kind of points you on the track you're on. I feel like if I didn't go through things I did or witness some of that stuff, I would not be doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So from here on out, like, obviously with what Seth said, like, are you still, I don't want to say, like, have you detached from the case, or have you moved on to something else, or like, is there anything that you want to maybe help spread awareness out to people in the chat?
I mean, Seth's very unhappy request. I stepped away as far as publicly. Like, I don't say much about it publicly, but I'll always be here with like, if the independent search teams that are there, they need somebody, they can pick up the phone, and I'm 4 hours away, and I'm gonna get out help search. Always keeping my eye out. Things that I can do without being as directly involved. I'll always do that, because at the end of the day, it's not about any of the adults, and that's not shade against any of the parents. It's just that Sebastian's face is on that flyer, and he needs to be found regardless of what we think about any of the adults.
So do you think this is going to become a cold case, just in your opinion?
I worry so, but I still have hope that I know that there are people out there looking, and so I still have hope that he will be found, and that'll, no matter what happened to him being found will blow it wide open. Whether it was a case of somebody else being involved or not, it'll move this case forward. I think that's what it's going to take, though. I do think that I don't think there's any real evidence to be found. I think anything that would have been found of a connection would have been by now. I think really it's going to take him being found physically.
So you honestly just think we still need to have boots on the ground and search in that area?
Yeah, I think until there's anything to say that he's not in that area, I think that's, you got to keep looking and keeping an eye out just everywhere. I mean, he could be anywhere in the country, obviously. And so keep an eye out everywhere you are. But I think as far as searching, I mean, just got to keep looking, because we know he's somewhere. And until there's something to say that he's far away, I still think he's local to the area.
So are there actually boots on the ground still every day?
Yeah. Every day. I can't say every day,
Well, not
but there are
every day.
teams
Yeah.
there that are working like multiple days a week. These are all people that have like full-time jobs as well. So I can't say they're out there every single day, but they're out there the days that they're not working.
Does anybody have any comments, or anybody want to come up and ask
So
Trevor anything?
Sweet Jam said, Tammy, can you ask him how they would have gotten the Laken-Riley Act passed so quick, which is great, of course. I don't know what that means.
That was in a different state, but I think there were a lot of politics behind that case, if that makes sense. And stuff does get passed if it gets political.
So they're just saying that this one was passed really quick or something. I'm not familiar with it. Okay.
And I think it's just because like there were politics behind it. Not that that's anything to that, but when there are
Well, when you got politicians that it really, if it affects them personally, then something's going to get passed faster.
Yeah, because they're the ones that can move it through. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, Barbie, what's your question or comment?
Yeah, I just want to ask Trevor if he had thought of getting a liaison from TBI. A liaison would be able to go through the families and give them any information from TBI of what's going on with the case.
Yeah, I mean they do speak to TBI. I know that Seth and Chris and Katie all communicate with TBI. The problem is the information they give them, they have to know it won't get out. And I think we've seen at least this, and again, this is not a dig at him, but it's the truth. Seth talks about basically everything he's told. And I think it's hard for him not to, because he wants people to keep information because he sees it as a way to keep his son's name out there. But I think that him sharing information keeps them from sharing stuff with him to a certain degree, because some stuff can't get out. Some stuff that does get out can get out, and it's just like, well, it's probably better if it wasn't out. But there's some information in an investigation that could really harm a case if it was to reach the public eye.
Yeah, that's kind of sad because that would help. That would be beneficial for them to have TBI with a liaison between Seth and Katie and Chris to keep everything at lead bay.
Definitely, and I don't think that's not like far gone at this point. I don't think, but I think it would take some committance. I think it would take, across the board, people committing that they're willing to receive information that they will not put out.
Okay, I appreciate you listening to my question. I just thought that would have been beneficial for them to have,
Yeah.
instead of them having Tony.
Yeah, I think if they were all working across the board, it'd be good too. I think if all three parents were a united front, I think it'd be easier to share information with them too, because nothing would be used like in a slinging way. You wouldn't have any information used and turn against somebody else. It would be just, here's some information and that's that. I think a lot of stuff could have been put to bed early on if there was a united front.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Barbie. All right, we got someone else in the box. If anybody wants to come up, it's going to be brief because, we're just going to ask questions and keep moving for the respect of everybody having an opportunity.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, Candy.
Trevor.
Yes, ma'am.
How far do you think he could walk off from the house?
It's hard to say. If you're looking at the timing, if we're looking at between 12 and 6, let's say he walks out at, let's just estimate 1 o'clock. By the time that they're looking at, 6:30 when she calls, he's got a 5-hour head start on searchers. So you can walk a long way, especially if he's in distress. If he's upset or, trying to get away, or he gets turned around. There's a lot of factors. He could have walked really far.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your question.
Thanks, guys.
Trev, you said that, and of course, Seth has admitted that they're not talking to him because.
How do I get off?
Oh, we'll help you.
They'll get you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, honey.
Because he did talk too much. He said too much. So then we bring on a spokesperson that is supposed to keep Seth from talking too much, right?
Yeah.
But then your spokesperson is on TikToks and YouTube's 24/7 doing the exact same thing that Seth was doing.
Worse.
Even worse. He's just making
Worse.
stuff up. Seth is
Yeah.
telling us stuff that's not our business. I think some stuff Seth has shared is not our business. I think some stuff Tony has shared, he just pulled out of thin air.
Yeah, and it just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Nick, you're so late. I just want to let you know that you are like an hour late.
Nikki's been
But
over somebody else's live.
I know, not to call you out, Nikki, but you're an hour late.
I saw you in someone else's live before I came over here.
I want you guys to raise your hand and come in the box to ask your question, please.
So
And don't ask for a recap.
So Trev, you saw how Riley Strain's case was handled and how his spokesperson, Chris Dingman, how a spokesperson is supposed to be, right?
100%.
How did we get a polar opposite spokesperson in this case?
Yeah, well, let's just call it how it is.
Banned.
Wait, wait, he was finishing.
Oh, go ahead.
But that's fine. You good? I'll
No,
answer
go
that.
ahead.
So I wrote TikTok a little email that was like this long, letting them know that they need to re-look at basically the platform and basically that video that I got banned on, because all I was trying to do was show people how to make a flyer for Sebastian and basically just putting a challenge out there. And they said they'd get back to me in 24 hours, and that was 9 o'clock this morning. And I just pushed the request button and it let me through. So maybe I'm not banned no more.
Anna, I reached out to someone on TikTok with TikTok headquarters on your behalf the other day, and they did some stuff for you.
Oh, see, I'm not alone.
But can you re-ask your question? Thanks for coming in, Anna, and gratefully you got your account back.
Yay. Oh, you want me to ask my question?
No, I want Tammy to re-ask her question.
You
I was,
asked how we got a you were comparing Riley's spokesperson to.
yeah, like, and in Raleigh's, that was just a family friend as well. That was just a family friend, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like, you don't have to be a professional spokesperson to know if you're doing something right or wrong. And I just find this to be so insanely wrong that I almost am, and I don't know if everybody agrees with me, but everybody has stepped away now. Like, all these platforms that he was going on, all these people's lives, and he had his 2 a.m. girls and and all these people, and like they've all like disappeared. Like I heard him whenever he was just spewing the other night, and one of the girls that was in the boxes was like, y'all, I can't. And she immediately like pulled herself down from that live, and you have not seen her back in a live with him. I mean, people were like, no, I'm stepping away. I can't do it. And I find that is really, like, I don't see anyone associated. And so
I have not been in the boxes since
Not
that
at-
happened.
not at all. Like, I mean, everybody is like stepped so far back. Even it was said that Pascal was stepping away, and he did. I saw a video where he did make a comment about stepping away, because I had someone message and say, Tammy, I don't mean any disrespect for you and barbecue, but y'all mentioned that that Pascal said that he was going to step away. Was y'all just saying false allegations? And I'm like, no, he actually had said it. He had actually said it in a live, and then he kind of was, he didn't truly mean like step away permanently, but he recanted that and was like, oh no, I really didn't mean that. But he did say it at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. And someone just saw it. Hold on, Sweet Pea wants me to read their comment. But that was something he said, was like, oh, I came on TikTok to create a group. You didn't create shit. Those people were already on here. Okay, Sweet Pea's comment. Another one stepped away also. She is now the TikTok for Caleb Hare's family. What?
I wonder what Caleb Harris's family is thinking about all this, honestly, because Caleb's dad, and his family, period. They're
Sweet
very.
Pea, just push the button, Sweet Pea, and come up and ask your question, please.
I want to ask Trev before we get to the next person, before I lose my train of thought, because we all are old ladies and we all have dementia. But Trevor, do you think the reason why they did what they did to Steven is because they were doing the same thing to you, basically blackmailing you, and they seen that Steven was so vulnerable about it?
Yeah, I think they're in the business of, or at least Tony, I will say for sure, is in the business of using people, and there's a means to an end. I think there's goals of pushing out things through other people, or having some goal met through other people, like pushing that information out through Steven to hope that whatever they were going to get out of that, I don't know, a public rise or to get law enforcement to respond. But I think they used him for that. And just like, Seth had, spent a lot of time talking to me. And then as soon as that call gets out, they decide I'm going to be the one that they're going to say released it. which blew back up on them because people know that, it just wouldn't make any sense. For one, I wouldn't do that. And two, the circumstances made no sense. And so, I mean, that's their goal, but it doesn't seem to really be working.
So what do you think their ultimate goal is of now getting rid of everybody from their day ones, and now they only have Tony being nobody with credentials behind them? What do you think of what's the goal? Because obviously he hasn't found Caleb Harris, and he's kind of pushed his way away from that, if you get what I'm saying.
Now he's the admin on another page.
Yeah, and he's already
Yep.
started to go
Haley
after
Morris.
Yeah, and he's already started on another admin on that. So what do you think his ultimate goal is here?
I think he's an opportunist. I think he's riding the wave of people knowing who he is. So I don't think it was a bad thing for him to be asked as a family friend to come on in Caleb's case, because that's what he is. He's Randy's friend. And I think a lot of people in a situation like that would say, hey, my friend, can you help me out here? This is a lot. This is a lot for me to handle. Can you come on and be my friend? And being a friend as a supporter is great. The problem is he then anointed himself as some like PR person that knows all about PR when he sells cranes. I mean, it's just, there's a huge difference. And don't market yourself as something you're not. Don't tell me that you're a paralegal because you read a couple laws on Google. It doesn't work that way. He's not a PR guy. He's a friend of Randy, and I think he was fine doing that. Problem is he decided he was going to go then insert and be part of Sebastian's case as a PR guy that doesn't even know the dad. So he's not a family friend here because he didn't even know Seth, and he doesn't know Harley Morris or Haley Morris, whatever that case. He doesn't know her family. He's just inserting himself under a premise that's not true. He's not a PR guy. He's an opportunist that wants attention while he has the chance. And it'll burn out for him eventually because people will stop knowing who he is and he'll no longer be able to insert himself. So I think that's why you're seeing him and all these other groups pushing himself up quickly, because he's trying to build up this following before it all fizzles out.
Yeah, and I've kind of noticed too, since Monday he hasn't really got on the platform. And I'm late to coming in this because I've been doing last minute wedding shopping today, but like, to me he comes off as a woman, like he's a womanizer, like, and is it because he's like he's trying to become famous, or is he really in it for all the right reasons? And to me, he's not in it for all the right reasons. And why would you get somebody that lives in Oklahoma and not in Tennessee? Because the kid went missing from Tennessee. Why couldn't you get somebody from Tennessee? I mean, and then you have somebody that's pro bono and you get rid of them too. I mean, it just, I'm so mind blown. You get everybody that was there for you that had credentials, only to bring in somebody that doesn't have any credentials at all.
Yeah, and he's a yes man. That's what it comes down to. I don't believe that Seth has any. And I'm not saying that Seth, I don't think he's involved in Sebastian's disappearance, and I don't think he has any crazy intentions, but I do think he wants yes men around him. I think he's been told no by law enforcement and by a lot of people so many times that he wants people around him that will just say yes, and that's what Tony does. Whereas people like his PI that said, I want to vet people, they say no, not because they don't like him, because they're, they want what's best for Sebastian. And sometimes that's not what the parent thinks. Sometimes every single idea that Seth has might not be in the best interest of Sebastian. Does it make him bad dad? No, it makes him, he's been in this for almost 3 months. He's not slept much. He's not thinking straight. He wants to do X, Y, and Z when maybe A, B, and C are better to do. And that's when people who actually have credentials, you don't want those people around, because they will go, hey, Seth, I think we should do this because it's better for Sebastian. I think we probably shouldn't go on here and talk about this because it's not good. The release of the CPS records, no professional in their right mind would have ever let that happen. No professional with credentials. I don't have any credentials. And if a family that I've been helping out said, I'm going to release CPS records, I would have said, I can't tell you what to do, but that's a bad idea. 100% I would have said that. And he was going to let him go through with that until Steve Fisher called and got them to stop that from happening.
Go ahead, Barbecue.
That was the other thing I was going to ask, and I don't want to know what they are, but there's been a rumor that JLL put out that said the CPS records were against Seth, which then makes me makes me go out. Look at her with her paw on me. Think back to where Seth said in that one comment, you can't hold that against me. They are, I don't know. It's just back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, I think the records he pulled are of Chris and Katie, because how much he's been working on those since March. I didn't know that because he told me when I went to town there, he said he had a lawyer and that they're pulling those records. So I think they were pulling those. But I have also sourced the same information JLR has, that there was an incident at Seth's house not long before Sebastian went missing. I don't know if it led to a call. I don't know what it led to, if there's documentation of it. But it'd be interesting if the other parties involved want to pull that. It would have to be Katie, I think, if she could pull. She may already know. I have no idea. It's not my business. But if not, I think it'd be advantageous of her to pull the same way, because I have heard that there was an incident involving Seth.
And that might have been allegedly at the end of January, right before he left.
Right. And so then you've got that. So then you all go back to the idea of him walking off. You get so a possible, scenario in January of, whatever hits him, whatever it may be. You've got, what seemed to be some issues at his mom's house. Not, I don't think to the degree people have said, but it does seem like he and Chris had butted heads, which if people don't know, if you have a step-parent, step-child situation, that sometimes does occur. Sebastian could have easily just been butting heads with every adult in his life. But you have those kind of situations, and it makes it very plausible that he gets upset. Mom's on the phone for 3 hours, won't talk to him, won't complain, whatever's going on. He gets agitated and just walks out the door once mom falls asleep. I'm gonna show her type of thing, walks out the door.
If he didn't ever sleep 8 hours, like Seth said, he'll
Right.
never sleep 8 hours in a night.
Right. And if he's upset, he definitely won't be sleeping. He's up. Mom falls asleep on the phone. He makes his way out the door. It's too dark for cameras to pick him up. He just walks off and gets off to wherever he is, because he knows can't pick up the phone and call dad. Last month, this happened, and he's worried that dad will get mad, and he doesn't want to, wake up mom because he's upset with her. And this is all theoretical, but who's to say that that's all that took place? You get upset, he walks out the door, and here we are.
Good point.
Crystal.
Okay, so I went looking for that video, and dang on it, I can't find it. However, I spoke to you about this the other day, and after watching a different video, I'm going to say it again. I strongly feel like everything that's happening right now, put it on hold and start watching the videos from the beginning again. Because I just watched a video. It's very important. I'm not going to say the person, whatever creator's name, but he talks about, and I'm not even going to say he's talking, he's crying about the situation of when Sebastian went to so-and-so's house and the other child supposedly done something to Sebastian. Okay. In a very wrong, inappropriate way. So with that being said, if that's such an important key factor, then why was it only spoken one time on that creator's feed? Like, you have been interviewed by so many news stations. Why wasn't that brought up? Why was it only spoken about one time on that person's live and never brought up again? So I think we're missing small key factors that
Can
if you
repeat
go
what was brought up again? I'm sorry, my mind went somewhere else for a second, and I can't.
Sebastian went and stayed the weekend at somebody's house, and another child had an inappropriate incident with him.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, so that was mentioned only one time in one live, but yet you've been interviewed by news stations. So
Crystal, can you send
if
that
it was
to me
such an
right now?
important, true thing that happened, why hasn't it been mentioned again?
I think it wasn't mentioned again because he got crucified for it.
Got the burner phone out.
Are you talking about the incident when he was 13, I think, in California?
Yes.
Yeah, that was. I remember he said that was on like a late night show he had done. He had called it. He was
Exactly.
best, yeah.
One show. But if you're going to be interviewed by news stations who's broadcasting this for important things to come out, and everybody needs to be looked at, I'm sorry, that would be one thing that's said. I mean, like I said, I feel like there's little bitty things that we missed from the beginning of the videos, because once those videos came out and it went away, and then poof, a tornado hits, and now there's all kind of drama, and everybody's forgetting about what happened in the original beginning.
Yeah, well, I think, and I think a lot more of the answers are always in the beginning, because it's before all the drama gets infused. I mean, if people remember at the very beginning, when the adults were interviewed, there was no talk about any of them from each other. I mean, even when Seth was interviewed, he didn't have any negative comments to say, because that actually had me think, that kind of drove my theory at the beginning. I was like, well, he's not even saying anything about any of the other parents. Like, that makes me wonder, was the situation good? That kind of pushed me away from the idea of foul play. And just, personally, because there was nothing being said about any of them. But then then once people got involved in the situation, and, there was creators getting involved, people talking to them, and, people getting in their ears and whatever, and time passing, and, emotions getting high, then then it becomes like teams. It becomes, you got to be this parent versus this parent, or, you got to support this person or this person, and it becomes like a battle. But before that, when they were all speaking, there was no real mudslinging. It was, here's how Sebastian is, and law enforcement's looking for him, everything's going well. Now it's like, you get some parties that are like, law enforcement's not doing anything. You get like, it has to be some crazy theory. I mean, just so much has changed since the beginning. I think now it's all convoluted. I think if you go back to the beginning, you hear how things more realistically are.
Yeah, I agree. I just watched a few videos from the beginning, and I sat there and I'm like, I don't remember hearing this the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
You actually start sitting there thinking, like, and realizing you did not hear this the first time it was said. And that's why I think it's so important to go back, because everybody, if you're watching a live and you're paying attention to the chat and you miss one thing he said and you go watch it for the second time, you'd be surprised the stuff that pops up that you don't even remember hearing.
Yeah.
I was even thinking about that just this morning. Like, I know we've done it already once, but just going back to the very beginning and listening to all of that again. Because like Trevor said, in the beginning, before all the mudslinging and everything, you got more truth coming out.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they got along perfectly, because even at the beginning, Seth didn't have much to say, but he certainly wasn't saying that they're like capable of harming their child. People have to think, like, just because you don't have the best co-parenting relationship, or just because you think that this person's not like an A+ mom or stepdad or something, thinking they're capable of taking the life of a child is a whole nother step to venture to. I mean, to be able to imagine them being able to do that, there has to be a lot there. And at the beginning, he didn't. It seemed like he was wanting to just say, that he didn't have much to say about them. He didn't want to comment. And then now he tells, the polygrapher with Nancy Grace that he thinks that Katie OD'd him. And, fair, he can have whatever assertion he wants. But I think seeing how much that's changed since the beginning, I mean, what has changed? There hasn't been any more co-parenting since the beginning. I mean, since he's been missing, it's not like they've had anything else that should have changed that. It's odd to see the morph of relationships from the beginning till now.
Or the fact that he's gotten, he was getting punished and he was getting whipped for certain things that were happening to school, to now all of a sudden you play video games with him.
Yeah.
Everything is so strange now, where the first videos that ever came out is what's so important.
Yeah, and I think there's certain, again, I don't think that it's what happened to him, but I think there's certain things that have happened in both homes that people that they don't want getting out. And I think once they became against each other, that kind of, the risk of that getting out came higher. I think there's stuff that's happened in Seth's home and at Katie's home that they probably don't want to talk about, And that's kind of, once they started being in such a divide, you get more worried that that stuff's going to come out. You know, if everybody's on the same team, you're not going to be releasing info on each other. But once you become quote unquote against each other, well, then everything's on the table, right? You can say, well, this happened at her house, and then go, well, this happened at his house. Well, you know, and it just becomes jab after jab back and forth, even if it's, you know, true. It doesn't matter. What is that helping? I don't think it helps.
Does anybody have or know of where the video clip is? You guys said that you think it's Pascal, where he said, I know where he is. I just don't have the resources to get him. We want to play that live on here.
And that's absolutely true. The fact is, he did go missing from his mom's house, but it doesn't automatically tie anyone in that home to his disappearance just because
Somebody said
there.
it was Justin.
But
Yeah, I'm not even going to
not
try.
realize how many videos there are, guys. I need like someone that really knows that they have it.
And if you know it's Justin, do you know a date? Yeah, we get hung up on stuff.
Justin's YouTube. Okay, I'm gonna step down and go see if I can find it.
We've got people saying Justin, T-Rev.
That's why it's like
All of the above. It was just a mass
Um,
panel of every single creator to ever exist all together at once.
Yeah.
T-Rev, what t-shirt do you want me to mail you?
T-Rev, where is he?
Yeah. It's Trev. Not T-Rev.
No, that's what I meant. I know I'm reading something on here. Trevor Lee, what t-shirt do you want me to mail you?
Oh, I'll have to go back and look at him. I was too busy cracking up as they were switching through.
Oh my God, that was the most hilarious thing I woke up to this morning. I was like, what is she doing today?
We're from 2 a.m. girls. That's the one Trev needs.
No, we're 5 a.m. girls.
All right, so it had to have been. I swore that video was him in a parking lot. But if we go back a month from now, let's just say the beginning of April, was Timmy, or do you think that video is before we went and searched where he said that? Shut up, Banjo. You're in the cage for a reason.
Hey, Trev, I have a question. Has Seth reached out to you ever since he went off on you?
Oh, no, I haven't heard from either of them, he or Tony, since then.
And have you reached out to them?
No.
Okay. So basically, at that time, you were just like, the line of communication, I'm just done.
Well, I felt like I had no interest in reaching out to them, because at that point it was just going to be about drama, and I don't have time for that. If he wants me to not help him out directly, then I won't, but I'm not going to entertain. The way I look at it is, I support any family in these situations, but I try to support any efforts to help their child. You know, if he has, you know, if he calls me up and says, you know, will you put up flyers in this area 20 minutes from your house? Well, of course I will, because that helps Sebastian. But if he calls me and says, you know, get out of Chloe's house, boy, I'm just not going to listen, because that doesn't help.
It's just mind blowing to me of how they're treating the people that were just trying to help and love the child. And then they just acted like they were dirt underneath their feet after they were done with them.
Yeah, I think what bothered me the most was him invoking another missing child, because he knows what it's like to have a missing child, and I think that that was just very, you know, that was a little low to bring up Summer, who's been missing for almost 3 years, to say, you know, I can't go look for her. You just be, you know, as you're running off people looking for your son.
Well, it'd be the same thing if you going back and telling Tony about Caleb.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, you can't feed the cattle with the corn, if you get what I'm saying on that.
Why is it when we want to find a video, we can't?
Because the internet knows you're looking for a video that you want to watch and you can't find it.
I'm going to mute you, Anna.
I'm sure somebody will find it in the next hour because our team on this platform and our following is amazing. And I'm sure everybody is out searching for that video right now. We're looking for the video where Seth says that if he had enough money and enough resources, he would go get Sebastian, that he knew where he was.
Oh my gosh. So apparently, this is totally off subject, but apparently somebody from the chat or from Watch Mellow t-shirt videos went over on Rochelle's live and told her I was going to make a t-shirt about her.
Oh, we can. We haven't, but we can.
Is this the 19th hotspot? That's what it's going to say.
Let's do it.
I mean, hell, we're making a shirt about ourselves anyways. Why not make one about everybody on here? Trev, you want us to make a shirt for you too?
And by the way, Trev, this is not for profit. This is the cost of the shirt, the person who's putting it on the shirt, and the shipping. That's it. This is not for profit. This is for fun. This is actually like, I guess, a de-stressing therapeutic moment because we've listened to so much fuckery on this app, and even just from all of the parties on both sides. I mean, it's just absolutely absurd the amount of bullshit back and forth.
Somebody said make a t-shirt that says boy on it, but we're not going to do that. But maybe we'll make a t-shirt that says Trev for president.
Except
Yeah,
for
say
one
it in the
that says
chat a lot.
Yes, Susan.
Hey guys, got a question for Trev.
I got an answer for you.
So I'm just curious, do you think that the police had or have information, but just don't have enough to take it to a trial and like make sure that it was like a guilty verdict? I keep going back to that dump that was closed for so many days. If they have a warrant, they had to have a reason to shut that thing down for so many days.
You talking about the landfill search?
Yes.
Yeah, they had probable cause. I mean, they did because they went and got a warrant. So I mean, there was probable cause. They searched for a day, I think, and then they pulled out after that day. They were done looking. But I mean, it was a full day. So, I mean, there's no denying that they were definitely digging through that landfill for something. They've just, I mean, they've held strong that they don't have any evidence of foul play, but also they can tell us whatever. So I mean, I think it's plausible. I just think with this much time that's passed, I'm not sure what more evidence there is to uncover. I'm sure all phone records have come back, any kind of cameras have been looked through, any kind of digital evidence, that's all been dug through.
Yeah, I just keep thinking. I mean, I always go back to Idaho where we thought that there was just like no leads. And, you know, I know that one didn't take quite as long, but I just think that sometimes they keep quiet.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean, they keep things close to the vest until they pull it all out. So I mean, they could easily at some point say, this person's involved. We have enough now to, I mean, look at Michael Vaughn's case in Idaho. They haven't brought any of those people to trial yet on his disappearance, but they clearly have enough evidence to comfortably put their face on a poster and announce that they're suspects. So, I mean, once you reach that amount of evidence, you're comfortable announcing someone as a suspect. Until then, those people, we didn't know about those four. You know, they kept that quiet on who those four people were, but we know for a good amount of time they've been looking at them if they've been building evidence against them. So who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know, and I don't even know if you can say, I don't watch a lot of other people's lives. This is really the only group I've been in from the start, but this may have been out there, but do you know if they have to report everywhere they go as far as Seth, Katie, and CP, like, or are they just doing that to keep in touch, or is it like a mandated thing or what?
None of them are suspects or under any kind of charges for this. I don't think legally they have to, but I think in cooperation with law enforcement, they have. I would say, especially if they're searching, like Seth has said, if he goes out to look, he tells them. I'm sure they have asked him to do that because they do want to know where he is for multiple reasons. You know where he's searching, know where he is physically if something was to happen, that kind of thing. But I think as far as like if they were to like travel, like go see family or something, I don't think they would have to say anything. But I'm sure they know that they would be spotted in publicly eventually, so they may just go ahead and say, "Hey, Agent Simmons, I'm going here, I'm doing this," because they do have contact with him. I think all three, I believe, have contact with him, so they could easily just call him and say, "Hey, I'm going to Kentucky to visit my sister," or just something random like that, But I think they keep in contact, but there's no legal authority to do that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it was the replay I seen of that Smiley's video where he said that law enforcement knows everywhere I go, every move I make. So I didn't know if it was something that they had to do or not. And I don't know if you stayed on that live long. That was the one that popped up on my feed that I didn't even know who Smiley was. But I did want to say that you have some really good supporters, and that fella that basically said he was the one who leaked the call, it wasn't you, and he defended you. I don't know you personally, but I just from that and everyone was supporting you. I think that you have a great heart, and I'm sure if you don't hear from them, there's a lot of community out here that appreciates everything you do for this young fella, and we see you.
Well, I appreciate that, and we all make mistakes along the way. It's just when you're framed for something you didn't do, I think that's the upsetting one. Is when somebody says you did this and you didn't, then it's like, whoa, call me out for the things I did. Let's not for the things I didn't do. You know what I mean?
That's right. Y'all just keeping up the good fights for Sebastian. Sebastian's strong. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Susan. I'm looking up something here. Someone said they think it's from the 4-4 interview, but I don't know how to see the dates. Shh. You're in there for a reason. Did you guys hear him? Do you guys hear him trying to get out?
Yeah, CT girl says she wants to ask a question.
Okay. Can you guys not bring her up in the box?
I don't show her.
She's here.
There she is.
Hi, Trevor.
Hello.
I just have a question.
Hit me.
The first thing is Seth back to work?
No.
And second question is, if he's not working, how has he been able to support himself with, his rent and whatever? I don't even know if he's got a rent or a mortgage. I have no idea.
Rent, to my knowledge. So it's my understanding that when Sebastian went missing, the sheriff's department he works for opened a PTO pool to allow other people at his job to donate their hours. And once that filled up, they closed it. So it's my understanding that he's going off that pool. I don't have proof of that, but that's what I've been told.
Okay, thank you.
I've wondered that. It's kind of like a teacher's pool. Like if teachers need days, other teachers can donate days and stuff. So the whole GoFundMe was supposed to be so he could be off of work and his bills still be paid. So I was kind of under the assumption that he wasn't getting paid while he was off work. So
yeah, my understanding is they did donate PTO. I don't know how far that goes. I don't know if he's run out now, if he, hasn't, whatever it is. But I was told at least that they opened a pool and it actually filled up to a point that they closed it. So I mean, he got a lot because I think they opened it up at the beginning when Sebastian initially went missing.
wow.
I wonder how many rollover hours he got. Because sometimes they put a cap on it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I don't know. And that may have been it. Maybe he hit a certain amount. Whatever it was, they closed it. But he definitely did, I've been told, get donated at least X amount of hours. So for at least a certain amount of time since Sebastian's missing, he's been on that. But I don't know if he ran out of that and he's just, not working at all, or if he's still on that, or what the situation is. But that was the situation, at least for a certain amount of time.
so he was still getting paid.
Yeah.
Hey, little side note. Anybody who is a subscriber to this page, you have some really nice emotes that I put on this morning. I forgot about till just now. I still can't find this video. The 4-4, whoever commented that, is not it. This was an interview with him on the screen.
Free banjo shirts and snacks. I can't free banjo. Banjo is at barbecues, and banjo is in timeout for a reason.
Can you guys? Yeah, somebody has it. Look, I got the 2 a.m. girls as one of my emotes, Tammy.
There you.
There he is. Yeah. Good old Tony and his 2 a.m. girls.
I'm not going to subscribe to get that.
Wait, you sent it where? To my TikTok? Let me look.
Barbecue sent it. So
I
probably.
sent what? Is it on my email? Because if it's on my email, I don't know if I can log in. On the Frenchie page. Okay, let's Okay, hold on one second, because the only way I'm gonna be able to send it.
So someone just messaged me and said that they heard that Tony was trying to start a 501 business in Sebastian's name.
Yeah, 501c3.
Yeah, he said that the other night on his live.
Not surprised.
Yes, it's a nonprofit.
That's he said that's the reason why Seth got a lawyer.
No, Seth got a lawyer to get the
Oh,
CPS
yeah.
records. He's had a lawyer since March.
I can't look at my Frenchie account. Can you send it to this account? Because I can look at it on my account.
Tony
Crystal.
said that one of the main reasons why Seth got a lawyer is so he can get a 5013.
Yeah, no. So Tony is full of crap. Seth got an attorney in March because he wanted the CPS records and he wanted to fight potential custody in the chance that Sebastian was returned home safely. And that's why he got it in March.
Was this lawyer pro bono, or did he actually pay for it?
I'm not sure. I think he was paying the attorney. I know he got like a big sticker slapped on the side of his truck. He was getting some money from too. It was like there's like a thing. I guess you can. If some people probably know more than me, you can advertise.
We saw it.
Yeah, you can advertise things on this. Yeah, he's got that.
Crystal, send it to this account.
Making some money from that because there's a big old attorney on the side of his truck.
Yeah. So when we met him, when we went down to Hendersonville, we met him for lunch, and I had told him what kind of car I was in. I said, it'd be, pretty visible. And he's like, I bet it won't be more visible than what I'm driving. And I thought,
well, what the hell could that be?
Yeah.
What's Seth driving? That's going to be, like
a billboard with wheels.
Up in?
A billboard with wheels. That's what he's got.
Yeah. So when he pulled up, I was like, he got out, and I was like, well, I see what you mean now about your car being way more visible than mine.
Yeah.
And he even said, well, where I work, it doesn't pay good, so you got to make some extra money some way.
Yeah. Yeah. He said he does that advertising thing where you can like put a advertisement on your vehicle. I mean, he does drive around everywhere. I mean, that's a smart advertisement for the attorney. I mean, that truck goes all around town. So
Yeah, for sure. Did he have that truck before Sebastian went missing?
I think so. I think it's just the sticker he added after. Or I don't know when he added the sticker. My guess would be after because he was looking for more money. But I don't know. When I met him, he had the sticker.
We got it.
Well, that only took 2 hours.
Hey,
No, it's less than 2 hours.
before you play that, Trev, do you know
Anna,
barbecue?
You've been waiting for this for 2 hours.
Well, hold on. I want to ask a question. That's what we have this for, right? Do you know that Seth has a TikTok?
No.
He's friends with me on here.
He follows me too, and Tammy. And
He only followed me to cuss me out though.
Nice.
He follows some hoochie mamas on here too. Some those little thirst trap creators that are fake, but they just want to show everything on here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like Harley guy with 4 numbers.
Oh, interesting.
And I know that it's him because I asked him a question only me and Tammy would know with Seth, and he answered it exactly to a T.
I think you need to ask him another question though. To double
No, there's no way anyone would know the answer to the question because of how specific the question was. Tammy, I sent her the screenshot of it. Was it Seth?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's play this. They said 2 hours and 27 minutes on here, but I know everybody's going to go message them now because there's a lot of people that followed them. I would just leave it alone, to be honest. I know that people are going to be like, oh, well, let me just go message Seth. Just leave him the fuck alone. Because honestly, like, there's no point. Shut up, Banjo.
You had to go to physical therapy. Is that for your shoulder or just all the above?
Oh, actually, it was for my neck. They said that my shoulder pain was being caused by my neck.
Hold on. Why don't you leave him alone? Hey, Kel, go fuck off. You're blocked.
Christine Alaska wants to know how we can help.
Best way to help is, besides keeping your head up and your eyes open, is passing out flyers. That's where tips and stuff come in because people might be seeing my son.
Let's light the chat up for Sebastian, please. Sebastian's Army. I see the godfather of the case has made it in. That is our friend Trevor. I'm sure you know Trevor, Seth.
Oh.
Trevor Lee? Yeah, I know Trevor.
Oh, funny. That's weird.
Any intuition, inkling, or anything where Sebastian could be?
I have my ideas. I just don't have the resources I need to track it. So, pretty much just winging it.
Are you getting any advice from the people you work for? I think his sound cut out a little bit.
Banjo, stop making people feel bad for
Okay,
you.
there you are. I think you're going to have to refresh your mic. Are you there?
I think that there's another interview. But I don't think this was the only one. I think that this was one, but I don't think it was the one that she's talking about because I heard him say in the other one, wherever it is, I know where he's at. I just don't have the resources to get him. It's on Pascal. Well, if it's on Pascal, then find it and tell me and I'll play it right here on the phone. You can just send it in the chat once you find it. Stop.
Poor Banjo. Does he want a banana?
Oh, no, I let him out. He'll start growling at me.
He is bipolar.
Tammy, you're muted.
I know.
Were you talking this whole time?
I haven't talked at all. I was just looking at you smiling.
Oh, go ahead. Hi, Jamie.
Hello. Hi, Trevor.
Howdy, howdy.
Good to see you on here. Listen, Anna, we can no longer ask anybody if they want a banana. That's off limits. No bananas.
Candace is going to go try to find it. She'll be right back.
And secondly, real quick, I know we have a lot of t-shirt options, but can we please get one with a depiction of Mr. Potato Head, even if it's just the lips?
The lips.
Even if it's just Mr. Potato Head with the lips.
Those lips, though.
And Mr. Potato Head. He pulls it
Guys are
together.
horrible. I thought I was horrible.
Oh, shit.
That's all I wanted.
Oh shit.
As usual, it's 2 a.m. somewhere.
All right. All right.
Bye, guys.
Katie, what's going on?
Hey, how are y'all?
Good. We're good. What's up?
I just had a quick question. I know there's been hearsay and all that stuff about searches, and was wondering if Trev could elaborate on if they are specifically or whatever local, just local, if they have been done in other areas like Memphis or Clarksville or whatever, or if you know of any that are going on in those areas.
Trev, did you hear her?
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what I was doing. Yeah, I know that the searches, there's local searches going on in the local area that he went missing from, but I'm not sure of specific like ground searches going on in those other areas. But I know things have been followed up on in all different places. You know, leads and tips and parts of their investigation have gone just about, I would say, everywhere that comes to mind.
That's it. Thank y'all.
Hey, Nikki. Thank you, Katie. Does anybody else have any questions? Or Trevor, do you have anything else maybe that you'd want to add, or maybe any questions for the chat that maybe you have thought over the course of this whole case that maybe just made you stop and say, maybe you didn't have an answer for, or anything at all? Like, honestly, like anything, even if it's speculation or theory or whatever. Trevor?
Is it doing it again? Oh, there we go. I don't know why
There you
that.
go.
I have to like mute out and come back. I don't know. I feel like some stuff has come up throughout the time. I mean, some comments have been made have just been odd, but nothing to me that's really kind of that stumped me too much. I think there's just been a lot of pulling in every single direction. I think that's what's lost sight of Sebastian is like this whole. There's been a huge division, and it has to be like when Seth blew up on me. Immediate people were like, "Oh, so like you're pro, you're on the Prophet side now." And I'm like, "Well, why do we have sides? Like, we should all just be for Sebastian, and then you can have your theories outside of that." But I think number one, everybody's goal should be, finding Sebastian, because the truth will come from that. If you find him,
It's okay, Nikki. You can ask them again. They may not.
You can come up on the live, Nikki, if you want. We'll let her on, even though she was an hour late.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, don't come for me. Listen, I know I was late. I apologize. I've been following the Kieran Reed trial daily, and I got sucked in a rabbit hole.
Yes, you did.
So I know I missed a lot. But that said, some questions that I had for you, Trevor. I'm not going to make you rehash how you got involved in this case, but I do know that there was something I came across today. SF Investigates. Are you familiar with them?
yeah, Steve. That's Steve Fisher.
Okay.
Yes.
So they had nothing but praise in your regards and positive things to say about you covering the case. They mentioned a couple of other cases that you're currently following that you've also done a lot of great work on. That said, my question is, how does this case compare to the other ones that you're currently working on or have in the past? And what are your thoughts on where things are going?
Well, that's a great question, and I think that so the two cases he's referring to are Holland Snap and Layla Sentinel. They're both missing from here in my area. They're closer to my age. They're both considered endangering adults by TBI, and I will say that Layla's case has picked up more media coverage than Holland's case, but the social media aspect of cases it makes a huge difference, and I think we don't see it until it blows up. So like with Sebastian's case, I got involved when the endangered child alert went out. I first saw when TBI put it out, and that's how I initially became involved in the case. And at that point, it was not very big. It had just been talked about some, but there was no real drama, I guess, to it. And the fact that social media has become such a big part of Sebastian's case, and it's always a double-edged sword. I mean, without social media, so many people would not be reached about his case, but also without social media, there would be so much less of a divide, I guess you could say. There'd be a lot of stuff that, a lot of fires that would have never had to be put out. And so I think once a case becomes high profile like that, it's a whole new level, because everything said is like taken and picked apart, and it's, there's so many more opportunists in a case like that. Whereas like in the lower profile cases I work with, like Holland's case, any kind of coverage is just what we can get. If we can get somebody to talk about her case, we take it. But with this, it's like you have to watch, is somebody covering Sebastian's case for good reason? Are they, becoming opportunists because it's trending? I mean, there's just so much that comes with it being high profile that it also creates, I think, law enforcement can't talk about as much, because if they come to a press conference on Layla or Holland's case, you're going to have, X amount of people tune in. Somebody does a press conference in 10 minutes on Sebastian's case, so much. I mean, there's going to be thousands, if not, 100,000 of people across the world listening to it. I mean, there's so much of a difference when a case becomes super high profile like this.
So Layla, I know she's Tennessee, correct?
Yes.
Is Holland as well?
Yes, they're both from the same county. They're both missing from Sullivan County, Tennessee.
So that said, what are the differences that you see with how the county is covering those cases compared to Sebastian?
So when in their cases, there's not as much, like I said, there's not as much public attention on it. So you have less like demand for press conferences, less people reaching out with tips. You don't have like people calling into the sheriff's department, as like in Sebastian's case. At least at one point, the sheriff was getting like 6 emails a day of people saying, why haven't you found Sebastian yet? That doesn't happen in the cases here. The girls' cases, they don't get flooded with as much craziness. They do get tips and they do get followed up on, but it's a lot more streamlined because there's not as much fluff, I guess is a good way to put it. There's not as much craziness added to it. So you get, it's a lot more streamlined. Like with Holland's case, Steve Fisher, actually SF Investigates, is the private investigator working with both cases. And so he communicates with law enforcement and gets information that can be relayed to the family. And that's how they operate. So while there's not as much being given out publicly, the families do get spoken to behind the scenes. And there's less of a concern about information getting out because there's not as many people trying to get that information, if that makes sense. Like if you give someone information that has 1,000 people trying to call them all the time, it's more likely that information is going to get out than if you give it to someone who has way less people in contact with them, because there's not as many people trying to get that information. Because unfortunately in Sebastian's case, we talk about Seth giving that information, but I think there's also people in his ear that are trying to get that information. I think we saw that the night that they almost released the CPS reports. If you noticed, the creator, obviously won't mention names, but the creator that had him on was still trying to get information. If you notice when he said, I can't release that, he goes, so were there these amount of calls? You could tell he was pushing for information. And when you have people like that, you have to be concerned about that information getting out, because a parent just answering somebody's question ends up giving too much information.
Do those families have similar teams working for them and with them as well?
They've got, like I said, they've got private investigators and they've got their local and then TBI agent, like the TBI agent that's on their case and the local detectives they talk to. And then I work along with the families just on the advocacy side, getting the word out. We do flyer events, things like that here locally to keep their name out. But there's not as many people trying to get involved as with Sebastian's. I think you have multiple people trying to, be even if it's not directly PR, people trying to speak for the family, people trying to get involved with the family. I think there's a lot of people that contact Sebastian's family and want to get involved because there's so much more media attention to it, and it gets talked about on all these different platforms. So you have less people trying to get involved in the girls' cases. So you have less opportunists, I guess, if that's one way to put it.
That's a good way to put it. Another question I had was, one thing that keeps ringing in my ear is Tony recently saying, I think it was within the last week, that they got what they wanted by basically, and this all followed stemming from, I don't know if you're familiar with the drama with Stephen Crabtree.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that statement, I'm not speaking towards what happened with Stephen. I have a lot of mixed feelings about that for a lot of reasons. Ultimately, I do feel bad for him, but that comment that Tony made kind of made me look at things as questioning whether or not he had a motive to kind of stir the pot and bring in more questions, more drama in order to gain more attention.
Yeah, I think the misinformation dump, as I refer to it, where we got all that just crazy information, the camera footage, the text messages, all of that turned out to not be true. I think that was calculated, but I think it's being done the wrong way. I think if you think you have to kind of stir the pot publicly to get law enforcement to respond to you, it's not going to be the response you want, because they're going to not trust to talk to you. Like in other cases I've seen, the family can contact law enforcement. Sometimes they can't give them information, not because they don't trust them, but because they have to keep parts of their investigation close to the vest from every single person, family or not, because it's just they can't give that out. But with this situation, I think what Seth's going to have to realize is Tony is furthering that divide. If he wants to create a good law enforcement relationship, it's going to have to be done behind the scenes. He's going to have to talk to them and not tell anybody he's talking to them. He's going to have to do it, one-on-one on the phone. He's going to have to go to the station and talk to them. They can't be done publicly, because when you try to back law enforcement into a corner to give you information, they're going to shut you out. They're not going to trust to give that information, and they're not going to be, for lack of a better term, bullied into it. I think that's what Tony wants to do, because he told me over the phone a little ways back. He told, the morning that before all that went down with letting go of Chloe, he told me he's going to be the one to get information for Seth. He said he's going to be the one to walk in there and, he said, everybody's seen my nice side. And then he's basically said he'll show law enforcement his mean side. He'll get them to give information to Seth. And I'm thinking, it's not going to work, but, teach their own. But I think that's what he thinks he's going to be doing. He's going to be the one to get that information, and it's not going to work. If Seth wants to get a better relationship with law enforcement, it's going to have to be done one-on-one, I think.
All right, last question. And I'm sorry, chat, if I'm being repetitive, because again, I was late to the party.
No, these are good questions. Keep going.
But where was your stance with Tony and Chloe in this case before everything went down last weekend? And then where do you stand now with Chloe specifically? What's the plan forward, and what were things like before?
Yeah, so prior to the whole blow up, I had hope. When Tony came on, I did, because what was at least presented was the initial plan was a united front. He was going to be the PR rep for all three, and I think it was going to take away a lot of the drama. And I thought if that went through to fruition, I think it would help. If they all three had one spokesperson and there was no more, going on different places and kind of taking jabs at each other or whatever, I think that would help. But once it became just Seth's, I was like, well, we'll see how this goes still. Maybe he'll kind of right the ship for Seth, do some of the talking for him, let him get to whatever he needs to do. Because I think Seth's was better served when he was out there looking more and less online, because I think there's nothing he could say anymore. And so he just pulls out of emotion. There's no more information to give. And I hate that. I wish there was. I wish there was more information we could all have. But I think he's at a point now where he's just stuck with, running off emotion. And so I had hoped that Tony would be good, but I started seeing the writing on the wall pretty quick when he said, the gloves are off with the proud foots. No PR person would ever do that. That's, incredible. I mean, you're inciting people to just harass them online, basically, by saying the gloves are off. You're telling people listening, hey, You
Well,
know,
not only that, he's also his initial. Correct me if I'm wrong, but his initial motive was to get everybody on the same team,
right? Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
and then he
wanted
completely
initially-
went away from
yeah.
that.
Yeah, he
Put the
initially wanted to be
fires
on the
out
same
were his
team,
words.
and
Yep.
then he said, you know, the gloves are off.
Which makes you wonder, was that really his goal all along?
Right, I think so. And he told me as well that he just does whatever Seth tells him to. And I mean, like, you know, you work for the guy, well, quote unquote, you know, work for the guy. You're gonna listen to him, but at the same time, you have to be that person that says, you know, I get you're emotional and you want to go say these things, but as the PR person, you have to step in and say, hey, we can't do that. You know, Seth, this is not the way to go. You know, we do. I know you feel that way about Katie in this instance. You know, I know you want to go say that, but let's not go say that because it's not going to help. Or let's not say this about Chris, or you know, whatever the case is. Let's not say this about law enforcement. That's your place as the PR guy to say, hey, you know, you're emotional, but we can't say that. And he never did that. He only echoed what Seth was saying, and it built off each other. I mean, there was a fire, and he just added to it, and he keeps adding to it. And as far as to answer your question about Chloe, I knew of Chloe's work prior to Sebastian's case. I've seen other cases she's worked in. She helped in one of the girls' cases that I'm close with here, so I know her work through that. And so when she came on with Sebastian's case, it was I already knew her, and so we had constant communication pretty early on. And my feelings on her have not changed. She's a friend of mine. I think she does great work, and I continue to defend her publicly with things that have been said that just aren't true.
Are you both still working the case on your own?
She's working the case independently, and I support her and her team in any way I can.
Where do you stand with the case?
So after Seth's whole ordeal, I did say I was backing off publicly, the same way they have. So it's more of just, like I said, independently. Basically, the way I tried to explain earlier is like the search teams that are working independently, they know where to find me, and if they do need, you know, extra pair of boots in the ground anytime, they can call me, and I'm there. You know, if I need to put up flyers here in this area, go a little bit of ways to put some up, things like that. But as far as being directly involved with anyone in the case, I'm not.
Do you have any close connections with TBI or Sumner County where if you were to go out and continue this search on your own, you would be able to get in touch with people and do it non-publicly?
Yeah, so I don't have much with Sumner County, but through my work with legislation, I have some professional relationships with TBI. Not necessarily in the same division that looks for missing kids, but they all work together in the grand scheme of things. So I do have professional relationships with TBI. I could get in if I needed to get in touch with anybody there. I could.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to jump down in a minute. I'll let other people come up in the box. Those are the questions. Again, I apologize. I was late to the party.
Nikki,
but-
we're just pulling your chain.
Well, I'm going to go sit in the corner.
But I
I'm
know
that
that you were,
girl.
I know
It's
that you right
fine.
along with all of us have been invested in it. I thought this was a good opportunity just to have a very neutral but controlled platform in a sense to be able to talk to Trevor and, you know, give him a comfortable, safe place to talk as well.
Well, and that's what when I saw that you were live, when I left my Karen Reed rant, I was actually a little taken aback by the fact that Trevor was on here because Trevor, I was not familiar with you as much before all the drama that happened last weekend. And you're one of the voices that I've been wanting to hear from. So I think that it's huge that you were able to come on here, share your story, all of your background, where things stand right now today with Tammy and Barbecue. So I definitely appreciate that.
Can't hear you again, Trev.
I think he said, thank you, Nikki, and I'll say, you're welcome.
I did. Sorry, I don't know why it's doing that. It can come back out, but I did. I said thank you for your questions and for saying that, and
Of
just
course.
for the platform. Absolutely.
All right, I'll be in the chat, guys.
Wait, no, Nikki, do your
Oh, I'm
reporter
here.
voice.
This is ironically, this is not my reporter voice. This is
I
my
wanna
quiet,
hear.
my kids are sleeping voice.
Aw.
If you guys really wanted to hear my reporter voice, that's a whole nother
Can we
thing.
hear it?
Hold on, let me go to the basement. Somebody talk for a minute.
She's got to get to the basement to do the voice.
Give me, because it's not pillow talk, okay? This is not like late night radio.
So are you actually a news reporter?
I am. So I worked,
Oh.
hold on, you're gonna hear an echo. I'm going to the basement. I worked for Barbecue will probably know this.
Yep.
WXYZ Channel 7, the ABC affiliate in Detroit. I worked as a morning reporter for 12 years and I still work for them today, but not full-time in the news station. I do commercials for them. So I do commercials. I also was the in-arena announcer for the Detroit Pistons for 7 years. So
Awesome.
but this is not my reporter voice.
We want to hear it though.
Come on, come on.
It's loud. Everybody turn your volume down.
Yeah, we're ready.
Oh God, here we go. Hold on. I'm trying to find does this echo too much? No, that echoes a lot. Let me find a spot. Okay. You ready?
Ready.
I'm trying to think of what to say. Good morning, everyone. You are watching WXYZ Channel 7, and this morning we'll be covering the Karen Reed trial, which is in day 14. Day 14 today, taking the stand will be Jen McCabe. I don't know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. So it's a lot more animated and louder.
Yeah, I love it. We love it, Nikki.
Oh, thank you. I love that laugh. You need to do some sort of a edit between Barbecue's laugh and Tammy's laugh. And then good morning and thank you so much for joining.
There you go. There you go. We need you in there with us.
You should do our commercial breaks.
I'm happy. I do voiceovers. Last week I did one for a funeral home, but that's a story for another time.
Oh no. So
A funeral home and a roofing company.
Oh.
So I'm available for all things.
So Trevor, what exactly do you do, and are you looking to get into politics?
Yeah, I'm just kind of, I'm still in school. Got about, I've got some summer classes and then another semester left. So once I graduate, then I'll look into, I'm looking into that. I looked into a couple different avenues, just kind of figuring out where I want to jump off and start at.
Gotcha. So what are you studying?
Business management with a certificate in child advocacy.
Good. Very good. Yeah, I could so see you in maybe in the Senate or something one day.
Definitely in the cards. Definitely something I'm looking at.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is.
Well, our chat has loved you, Trevor, and you have given us some answers to some questions that we did not know. You handled yourself very well, and I think we had a very productive talk today. I'm glad you were able to speak your truth and let everybody know your side of things.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you guys having me up. Sorry, I was just laughing. I saw a comment that you don't have a pass, do you? No, I mean, you look me up, you'll find a speeding ticket when I first got my license. That's about all you'll get. No criminal record here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just keep it that way.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal.
Keep it that way.
No phony checks. That's.
Yeah, let's keep it that way. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I mean, you can stay in the box if you want, Trev. I mean, we're just kind of hanging out here for the moment and just chit-chatting.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you guys having me up. I mean, I'm happy to answer anything else. If not, I will hop down in a couple minutes. I gotta get ready for bed before tomorrow. But
we really appreciate you coming on here.
Absolutely, yeah, anytime. And now that I'm aware of your platform, I'll pop in. I like to get on and watch lives at night, and I'm just laying in bed. So I'll definitely be stopping in.
Sometimes
if we're ever discussing anything and you want to pop in, like, you're welcome anytime.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you guys for having me up.
Sometimes it's a little ruthless. I can get a little vocal.
Shocking. I do one thing before I drop down. So I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure you guys will be on till 4 o'clock in the morning. The other night I fell asleep. I don't want to change the subject, but I'm just throwing this out there because I do want to leave the box and let other people have the opportunity to come up. But the other night, when was it Melissa was up here talking about her daughter? Yeah. I stayed in it for the long haul. I think I fell asleep around maybe 1:30.
Me too.
And then I heard most of it, but there's